All right, I'm very excited about this one. So this is a workflow that I built on Make and Clay, and that runs fully automatic. That triggers every morning, and that allows me to get warm leads every day. And what's especially important is that I reach out at the right moment and to the right person, right? So let's dig into it. It's a fairly simple workflow to understand, but I'll dig into every step so that you can basically copy paste it, right? So it all starts with this very simple make scenario. So the first thing that I'm doing here is an HTTP request to an API actor. If you don't know, API is basically a platform, a marketplace where you can rent what they call actors, which are scrappers, basically on automation workflows. And you can run them directly into the platform, like you can see here, or you can call them the API. And that's what we're doing there. So that one is really great. It's cheap as well, like $5 for 1,000 jobs scraped, which is one of the cheapest I've found. I had to dig into the marketplace because you have plenty of scrappers, and that one does the job extremely well. So I could recommend it. I'll put the link into the description. As you can see, you can pretty much personalize everything in here, in the API, inside the API console. And then you can click here and it transforms all the settings that you've set up into this JSON, right? And that's the JSON that I'm copying here and pasting into my HTTP request, right? So here what we have is that we only want full-timers. We want to scrape 1,000 jobs. We want to scrape the jobs that were posted in the last 24 hours. And since we're launching the automation every day, that's enough. We exclude some keywords, and most importantly, that's the keyword that I'm searching for. So I'm doing that for a client for which hiring FinOps, which is a very specific title ranging sitting between IT and finance. It's cloud optimization. When you post a job offer about this specific role, it means that you're mature enough, right? And so I want to get that signal from companies, right? And I want to reach out to the right people. So the first step is to get all the FinOps jobs that are getting posted on LinkedIn. And so that runs, and the results then have to go through this iterator. So if you are familiar with tools like Make or N8N, you know that you have to parse data, right? And so I'm basically getting every piece of the data, like every job, and then I have to parse it so that every job gets separated, like every piece of information of data is parsed into small chunks that I can then use and systematize and use and send into my Clay table. And that's what I'm doing here. Because if you basically connect the HTTP request to Clay, it's gonna send only the first one. So what you want is to use that iterator here to send every posted job in a different cell in Clay. And that's what you do here. And so you just have to, so here I will show you, I'm using a webhook on Clay to receive the information. And so I'm just filling out the fields there with the information that I want. So I want the URL of the job offer. I want the job title, the company name, and everything. So I'm going to show you that in Clay. And so I just have to hit run here and it runs. But as you can see, I've toggled the automation. So every morning at 9:28 a.m., very, very precisely, that automation will fire, right? And so the data will be sent on Clay. Here, we are on my Clay table. And as you can see, I basically created like a table. I could do it again like this, right? Webhook, just create a table, like a blank table. And here you can see I'm getting the, like Clay gives me this webhook URL, which is the link that Clay is listening to receive data. And that's where I plug it here from Make, so that every time the automation fires off, I get the data sent there, right? So it's already set up here. And so what it does is sending the exact data that I've scraped and parsed into Clay columns, right? So here I have like these jobs at Santam Insurance. I have the job title. I have the number of employees. That's why this AP5 actor is so good. It gives you like so much information, right? So then I can make every piece of data a different column. And so I'm going to run you through the enrichments, the workflow I want to reach out to the right people in these companies. So first things first, I dedupe actually on Clay, companies by company name, because I don't want to run over and over on the same companies. So you have, for instance, very big companies like Amazon, which are posting jobs like maybe dozens or even hundreds of jobs every day. So I don't want to get multiple. I could create a much more complex workflow that would take every job and then reach out to the right manager in the team that is hiring. But that was not the purpose right now. So I use that so that I only have a list of unique companies, right? Then what I do is I normalize the company name so that it's clean and neat. Actually, this enrichment only runs when the last step is done, which means when I'm sending the data to the other column that I will show you. I don't want to spend credits for companies that are not sent to the rest of the workflow, right? So what I do here is, so the first real thing, right, is that I check in a master table that I have elsewhere that I didn't reach out to this company earlier, right? So that's the first step to check that I'm not reaching out to the same people again. And that's a first check, right? So for instance, Nintex, that's a company I already contacted, so I can delete it from the rest of the workflow. Then you have other steps, such as, is the role about FinOps? So it basically checks if the job title contains the keywords that I'm looking for. It is, because again, the AP5 actor is super good. So it always is, but still, it's a nice check to have. Then I'm checking with simple formulas, right? Before using any AI, if the job offer is about recruiting, it's posted by a recruiting agency or a consulting firm, which I don't want, right? I want to get the actual company, and so I want to get to the right people in the companies that have the need that I'm targeting, right? So I don't want consulting companies or recruiting companies in the mix. Here I'm calling a tool called Pronto that you have here, that allows me to extract the location ID from LinkedIn, which can be handy if you need to personalize some queries according to the job offer location. I'm not using it right now, but I will show you how. I'm doing another check here with AI to make sure, again, that it's not a recruiting or a consulting business. And if the offer is for, like, the role is about internal projects and not for clients. And so that's it for the checks. Obviously, the rest of the workflow doesn't run if any of these checks are not checked. And then here comes the interesting part. I got actually inspired by Brendan Charlison, who runs this amazing YouTube channel called AI Powered Junkie, I think. And I basically took his prompt that I found really clever, which goal is to find the hiring authority from the job description. And that's something very interesting with this API actor. It's that contrary to many other actors or even tools, we can get the job description, right? And that's, again, it's kind of hard to get. For instance, Pronto, the tool that I've mentioned before, can allow you to monitor job hires as well, but they don't provide you with the job description. And so with that job description, I can basically ask the AI to find who is most likely to greenlight the hire. So who will be the manager of the person who will be hired. And that's very useful because that's the person I want to reach out to, right? So the prompt is kind of complex. And so the rules are like the prompt is long, but it's simple to understand, right? The output is this JSON that you have here. So it basically gives me the top three suggestions from the AI for the hiring authority for this job. The location preference that it takes again from the job description, and the reason why, right? And so what I do here is that I only extract that JSON, and I want to keep it under this format because here I'm doing a call to this tool, so the Pronto tool that I told you about, and which is really good in finding people in companies. So Clay can do that, for instance, like natively, but they use their own internal database, whereas Pronto uses a live scraper. And so, yeah, what I do is basically I call their endpoint here, which is find people. So you can add all these settings that you want here. Edit. Yeah, so I'm basically here, you can see target titles, and that's where I plug my JSON in, right? So that it only searches for these precise job titles in the companies that are hiring, right? And again, I'm excluding a bunch of job titles. The way it works is you enter another webhook URL, which will receive the results. And that's here, the table that I've created, which is not about companies, but about specific people that I've found inside the companies, right? And to finish with this table, what I do then is that once the data is sent, it means that it worked, and then I can run some enrichments. It's like I do that in order to save credits, but okay, here most companies pass the test, so it doesn't matter. And so I simplified the job title. So far I've simplified two pieces of data. The job title, for instance, staff FinOps engineer. The first job title was like staff FinOps engineer US. And if I use that as a variable in my outreach copy, I don't want, that sounds unnatural, right? So yeah, and the reason why I have like twice the API call here is that the first search is going to search for these exact job titles. And as you can see, they vary quite a lot, right? I have like cloud operations, here, finance operations, IT operations. And so it's the same job offer, but since we are targeting enterprise companies, the name of the teams vary a lot internally. And that's why I'm using this first API call. The second one is kind of a double check. And I'm basically searching for the usual job titles that that usually all the hiring authorities. So that even when AI doesn't can't extract this data, I have something to send. Okay. So last step is to enrich the people that we find. So basically Pronto receives this data for every company that I'm sending. And so as you can see, I have all the LinkedIn information. I dedupe by LinkedIn ID URL. So obviously sometimes the two integrations, the two API calls that I've run are going to land the same results. But I don't care. I'd better have twice the same person that I dedupe after than not finding them, right? So here I've added some columns from the webhook, which are the data scrape from LinkedIn. And I again run some checks so that I only enrich what's relevant for me. So for instance, I only want people who have more than 500 relation on LinkedIn, because since I'm going to fire off LinkedIn DMs, I want them to be active on the platform. People that are not open to work on LinkedIn, because that would mean they're not relevant for me. And I've set up a pretty long formula here to make sure, not AI, but only the native Clay formulas, that I'm only getting relevant results, right? So for instance, this guy is head of credit risk, innovation and technology. They got scrapped probably because there is innovation and technology, but I have a risk here. And so that doesn't fit the bill. And that's why it's not checked here. What I do then is I go back to the previous table and I look up the company so that I can pull relevant information for me. And the relevant information is the position that is being hired, the job offer, right? And if you remember, like 2 minutes ago, I run the enrichment to simplify that job title. And then the company name, which has been normalized so that I can already use it in my outreach. So yeah, that gives us the full picture of companies that are filtered, and then people, and hopefully these are relevant people only. Then I run classic enrichment. So, a waterfall to find the email. I have like that double check for email validity that deletes crap emails that are sometimes found by the email providers, and that only displays the good ones. And then I can automatically add them to, like, push them to my sequencer, which is Lemlist in this case, because it's multi-channel. And the good thing is that I can even choose here to launch automatically. And that's what I do, right? To have my constant flow of leads running. So I don't have to manually accept and launch every lead. It's made automatically. And so here you can see my campaign. So I'm sending an invitation on LinkedIn, then an email, and then, okay, you know how to create an outreach campaign, right? And then it's going to be launched automatically. And yeah, I will be able to monitor the results. So here you are. I hope it was clear. There is a couple of things that I could do to improve this workflow, such as creating a copywriting agent that would use the information from LinkedIn, for instance, from the LinkedIn profile, to add an icebreaker, for instance, in the outreach message. I think that would be way easier to do it with N8N, but I wanted to keep it simple. Actually, I could run the whole workflow from N8N, but I wanted a simple thing that works. Make it super easy to get running. Clay, once you master it, is really easy as well. And yeah, that way you get fresh leads. And again, what's really important is that these, like, the people you're reaching out to are the right people, and they just posted a job offer, right? So it's a very strong signal, in my opinion, to get fresh and warm leads for your service or product. I hope that can be useful for someone. Let me know on LinkedIn if you have any questions or if you run into any issues. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.